It's good to be back. It's good to be back. You may not know it, but it's been a while. I'm gonna be watching the next entry in the Japanese guinea pig series. Woo! The last video I made of this was when I watched Christmas Cruelty, which was horrible. But now we're going back. We're going back to the Japanese guinea pig movies, and in our magical drawer of mystical wisdom, we have Devil Woman Doctor. Yeah, which is a bit confusing because sometimes in some releases it's called Devil Woman Doctor and other times it's Devil Doctor Woman. So I don't actually know what the name of this movie is, but it doesn't seem like anybody does. So yeah, I can't really read you the description because it is in a different language. So sorry. I don't know, you kind of get the idea. It's like it's a woman who's also a devil and has like a PhD or a doctorate in something. So let me see, you know what? I know I'm like horribly unprepared, but like, let me see if I can get a definition of what's happening in this movie. Oh, what? Okay, hold on. We have a drag queen doctor named Peter conducts experiments on patients which ends up in anguish. And that's all I got. That's a man? Hold on. You know what? That makes this film 10 times better. The fact that this is a drag queen. It looks like it's more leaning towards the comedy side, like the last entry was He Never Dies. Me and this guy are gonna go watch this movie, and I'm gonna report back to you and tell you what happens and what this drag queen does to people. I'm actually much more excited about this now, so I'll be right back. We will be right back. Wow. Wow, that was terrible. I have a confession to make. I've been gone for hours. I've been gone for multiple hours. This movie is about, well, exactly 52 minutes long. So, I mean, all of the Japanese guinea pig movies are very short, but I did go to McDonald's. I did stay. This movie was horrible. The worst one by far, so far in the Japanese guinea pig. I mean, this is the 4th entry, right? But worst out of 4, in my opinion. I will attempt to explain to you what happened, because I don't really know. So there's this woman, right? This woman, we had on the front. She's the doctor, and what she does is she examines people who have strange diseases, and she tries to treat them. She does that very poorly, and I think it's funny because the first thing that I said was like, oh, she's like a devil woman with a doctorate, but the first thing she said in the movie is she was unlicensed, and she was an underground doctor, so that makes more sense. What she's doing is looking at diseases that are not real. So, for example, the first disease is there was a family where if you get too angry, your head explodes. So what she did to treat it is she pissed them all off and all 4 of their heads blew up. Don't have to deal with it if you're dead, right? She had this family sit in a chair in like the middle of a field, and then she just like started making fun of them, and then they got mad, and then it would cut to a mannequin sitting in a chair and then have its head blow up all 4 times. And then there was a girl who, if she gets too scared, her heart blows up, and you'll never guess what the woman did to cure that. She's scared and her heart blew up. She died. And that was part 1. So this this movie it's split up into, I think, 9, maybe 10, but I think it's around 10 parts, I don't know. So part 2, we all know what DID is, right? Dissociative identity disorder. That's really hard for me to say, I apologize. But, you know, when multiple personality disorder, you got multiple personalities. Well, this guy has multiple personalities, but at the same time. So it's the classic, this arm, I can't control it, it's trying to kill me. That guy was actually a good actor because it looked like his hand was trying to kill him. And she sat in a restaurant with this guy who was fighting for his life, and the way that she stopped his hand from trying to kill himself was by stabbing a fork through his hand into the table. It worked, technically, where he didn't die like the other ones. And then his legs started doing his mind of its own. So like his legs started to try and kill him. So the devil doctor woman, she took a knife, like a butter knife, and stabbed it in his thigh. And that got his leg to stop trying to kill him. And then, he started like seizing on the floor. He was fine. She injected some random stuff in him, and then it cut to him like a year later or whatever. And she's like the narrator who just kind of like shows up afterwards, and she's like, "Do you want to know what happened to this guy? He got like a job in like an entertainment business." So that guy, he was fine. He didn't die, luckily. So that's good. I hope some of this makes sense, what I'm saying to you. If you're lost, then so am I. I don't know. It's explaining exactly what I just watched to you. So you wouldn't get any more sense out of this if you had watched the movie than if I would be talking to you like this. Part 3. She is sitting on the couch with a gangster, and he opens up his shirt, and he has a face like do you know who Rata the Hutt is? Jabba the Hutt's son. Just imagine that just attached to this man's stomach, and it was talking. And her way of curing his disease, which she didn't do, was getting it to sing. So it started singing, and it had a beautiful voice, one that I could only dream of having, and that was part 3. A man's stomach started singing, and he left his gang, and he started street dancing, shirtless, so that everyone could see his face, and it was singing while he was dancing. On to part 4. Part 4 was just, I don't even know why this was part of the movie, because all the other parts were of people with strange diseases, right? And this one was just filming a table, like a dining table, a large table full of just human like intestines and parts of a human. And the reporter's like, "I am super stoked to be here today. We're gonna be trying human for the first time." And he was videotaping this entire table that just had, again, like eyeballs and jelly, but they threw in like flies in there just to make it look more appetizing. Had, every body part of the human you could think of, man and woman, on the table, food to eat. It was all cut off. There was a lot of it. And one of them was like a soup of like a liver, like a cancerous liver. That's what he said, is like the liver failed because it had cancer, so. And they made it into a soup. You following? You staying with me here? That was part 4. They just filmed the table. All of it was awful. The props, none of it looked real. It was like, they were just very clearly rubber. There was like no detail. They were just smooth. There was no like fingernails. It was literally just like a rubber hand. They didn't even try. Part 5. Oh, this one was interesting. This man was decaying. He was dead. He was a zombie. And he started off like, okay, he like looked like he had a few scratches on his face and stuff. He looked just like a really like beat up homeless man, is just kind of what he looked like. And his wife came over to him and was like talking to him, and he's like, "I'm dead." She's like, "Okay, no you're not." And he's like, I'm pretty sure I'm either dead or sick, or both, but I can't really be sick if I'm dead. And it was just like a stupid conversation. But it cut to just their daily routine, I guess, of them going out in public and him getting like all like new clothes and out to dinner, and it's just him slowly decaying. Like by the end, he didn't have any gums. His like teeth were sticking out, and then he was having dinner with like the devil doctor woman. They were like, she fed him food like a bird, like a mother does to her chicks. And they just like chew it up and throw it up into his mouth. It wasn't she only did it once. She didn't really chew it up. I didn't like it. Okay, food went from her mouth to his, and it was not okay. That was probably the worst part of the movie for me. I didn't like it. Okay, it was gross. And that was a long scene. They took like 15 minutes for that dinner there. That was the only good part, was the zombie guy. His prosthetics were very nice. You could tell where all of the budget went in this movie was just right to him. He looked cool, okay, but that was part 5. Part 6. Part 6 was the dumbest thing I think I've ever seen in my life. This girl went into an alleyway and found a box, right? When she thought it was a stray cat, she opened it. It was literally just a ball of flesh that jumped out at her, but it was like very clearly attached to a string and they were just dragging it on the ground. And there was this whole thing about her running away from it. And she ran into like a telephone booth and it was like ramming into the telephone booth. And then the devil doctor woman caught it in a bin, and that was it. That was part 6. So that was really bad. I hated that part. It was really stupid. Part 7. Okay, part 7 was really short, okay, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was just this guy who sweats a lot, but he sweats blood. And the next shot was just him sitting shirtless in a sauna. It was just for no reason, just drenched in blood. And he looked like he hated his life. I don't know why they just, that wasn't part of the cure. It was just some random scene of him sitting in the sauna with blood drenched all over him. But yeah, and then she like started hitting his back and he started throwing up blood, and then that was it. I think he lived. Part 8. Part 8 was scarring a little bit for me. It was a tattoo. It was just like a little heart tattoo with like the little arrow through it on this man's body, right? And it changed shape and could move around. So it was like a living tattoo that like just like squirms around in your body. But like they had the actor lay like completely naked out on like this table, and like it was like running all over his body and like going in between his like cheeks and stuff. It's like, I didn't need to see that, right? And so her way of getting rid of the tattoo was to put on a Freddy Krueger glove and rip all of his skin off without anesthesia. He asked, and she's like, no, for this surgery we can't have any anesthesia. Unlicensed doctor, can't have it. So she tried to grab it the first time, and it obviously kept moving along his body, so she kept clawing at it. And then the man jumped up and he had no skin. It was actually pretty sick. That was like where the other half of their budget went, was for him, and he only showed up for like 5 seconds. He looked really cool though, without skin. It's pretty rad. But yeah, tattoo can't bother you if you don't got skin, right? So that was part whatever I was on. And moving on to part 9, there was, I think this was the last part, I believe. There was 4 chairs and 4 men sitting in the chairs, and they're on top of a building. Each of them have a disease, multiple diseases actually, but they all were proud of their diseases, and they were all there to talk to each other about how awesome they are all of the time. The first guy was like, I'm decaying. And he was proud of that. They're all like, no, you're not. And he's like, well, I'm decaying from the inside out. That's why my breath smells so bad. And then he takes his shoe off, and like there's like brown stuff coming off of his foot, which was horrible. The next guy, he could stretch multiple parts of his body. I'm not gonna name which parts he could stretch, because they showed up. I mean, he was stretchy. Okay, he was stretchy and he was proud. The next guy just took out a cigarette. He inhaled all the smoke, and apparently the smoke could exit through his skin. That was his disease. And then the next guy, his heart could move to different parts of his body. Just remember that somebody made this into a movie. Just keep that, this is real. This is a movie that somebody paid money to make. But his heart could move, and also like he was pretending like his heart was beating in his neck and in his cheeks and his nose, and then and they lifted his foot up, the bottom of his foot, and it was like beating in the bottom of his foot. And then this other guy threw up an egg and then cracked the egg, and then puke came out of it. And then this other guy took out a large bin which had a massive turd in it, and it grew a face and started screaming. I'm not even sure if I'm awake right now. I don't know if what I saw was real, if it was actually a movie, or if I'm actually just asleep in my bed right now. I don't know. I don't feel awake after seeing that. Yeah, actually, that was the entire movie. Sound like fun? Huh? No. Most of it, I was waiting for it to end the entire time because some of it was enjoyable, not really. But most of it was like, wow, when is this gonna end again? The last part of the movie was actually kind of nice. All right, it was a montage of the entire cast and crew where they had, where you take pies and you have fun and you throw it at other people's faces and stuff. They made little props that instead of pies, it was a small pan of nails, and they were having so much fun. They were slapping each other in the face with a pan of nails, and like it had like fake blood in it, so when they smack them in the face, it looks like their face blows up. They did that with the whole cast, and it looked like they were having a lot of fun. I mean, obviously it wasn't realistic because the nails were rubber, but it was fun seeing the whole cast. You could tell which ones wanted to get hit in the face with it and which ones did not want to get hit in the face with it. And then we also got to see the zombie guy rip off all of his prosthetics. So I thought that was kind of cool. But enough of me suffering. We could have Gerald's thoughts. Gerald didn't even like it. You know why? Because it wasn't extreme, okay? It wasn't extreme. I'd say it's disturbing, but it was just kind of annoying. It was cheap, it was a little disturbing, but I can't really, why is this even remotely connected to any of the Japanese guinea pig movies? I don't know. I'm gonna set Gerald down right here. Yeah, I mean, Gerald didn't like it. There wasn't enough death. There was just turds screaming and people's stomachs singing, so I was not really expecting that. But we have the mini version, which, if you can see it, doesn't really, can you see it? Can you? I don't know, but it's the tiny version of Devil Woman Doctor. I'm never watching that again. So, that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and take out the Board of Extremity and we're gonna rank it. Yeah. All right. I got it. I got the board. It's here. I'm not gonna destroy everything this time, like I do every time. I'm going to not hesitate with this, and this is barely extreme. For the simple reason that it's barely extreme. That's my explanation. The prosthetics are pretty painfully bad. Besides that one zombie, it's not supposed to be extreme. It's not really supposed to be disturbing or scary. I don't really know what's going on, and I doubt you do either. I mean, I explained literally exactly what happened in the movie, like exactly, without trying to make this video 7 hours long. That is like step by step what happened. All right, so don't blame me. None of it made me uncomfortable, besides maybe the turd screaming in the bin. You know what? Out of spite, I'm gonna put it down here. I put it up like high end, barely extreme, because it is like a tiny bit disturbing, but like it's not. It's not. All right. And I don't want any word spoken about this movie again. Let me bring this in so you can kind of see it a little better. All right. Ooh. Oh, I rolled over it. All right, there you go. You see it? So as you can see, we have Devil's Experiment, Flowers of Flesh and Blood, He Never Dies, which were guinea pig movies, All Hallows Eve, Christmas Cruelty, which is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, and then this one. That concludes this episode of How Extreme Is It? Please let me know how the lighting is of this video. If it's better, if you liked it better before, let me know. If you like it better now, let me know. It is a drastic change. And if you like the video, make sure to like the video or subscribe or both, or maybe comment. I don't think nobody really says anything. I also have a hoodie channel, which has nothing to do with this channel, like I say every single time. Nothing to do with horror or anything. It's just awesome hoodie designs that I make myself with AI because I'm not talented in any way. So make sure you give your stomach singing lessons and don't get too mad because your head's gonna explode. Have a great day.